Gotta take the turd to work tomorrow. And the BRZ kind of blew up. So let's let this thing run real quick so I can get it ready for tomorrow so I can drive to work. That's gonna be fun to start tearing apart this weekend, assuming that the parts of the BRZ come in. So like I said, the BRZ kind of blew up a little bit. Not like the engine, but one of the radiator hose demolished itself. Coolant went everywhere. Oh dear God, there was so much white smoke and it just wasn't a good time. So luckily we haven't started tearing the STI apart yet, because I still have to go to work for one more day. So Friday is my last day at my job, and then we start doing this full time. I'm excited. I'm actually really excited. We have a plethora of stuff going on the car down there. The tune is set for May 28th on the STI. And I'm just so excited to get on the dyno after getting all these parts on the car. It's gonna make some good power, it's gonna make some good numbers, and it's gonna make some good sounds. But the reason we're all here today, is I have been getting the question a lot of what parts do you specifically need to build one of these cars to be able to make 350 wheel horsepower. Now I calculated it out, I found all the parts you needed. I'll link them all down below, but we're gonna go over them all in this video. So let me get this turd wrapped up here after it's done warming up, and then we'll start going over all these parts and start letting you guys know what specifically you need to make 350 wheel horsepower on one of these cars. And I wanted to challenge myself a little more. I only stuck to Amazon, which a little more difficult than you'd think, but I found every single part you need to hit 350 wheel horsepower off of Amazon. So a little stoked. So let me get the car finished warming up here, and then we'll jump into the video and I'll start telling you guys what exactly it is you need to be able to do this. Now, like I said, maybe you want to make 350 wheel horsepower. Maybe you just want to hang out. I don't know what it is you're doing, but we're gonna jump into it. So, like I said, all of these parts I was able to find on Amazon, and I did find the highest quality brands for the best pricing. So if you guys are interested in any of these parts, go ahead, swing down below if you are looking for any of them. But we're gonna jump right into it. So the first one on our list is going to be an access port. Now, if you don't know what an access port is, go back to all of my previous videos. I've talked to you guys about access ports numerous times, about why you need them, what they do, what you should manage, or what you should monitor, all the good stuff with them. Now, an access port is always going to be $650 unless you're getting them on like a Black Friday deal from Cobb or you're buying one used. But if you are buying one used, make sure that it is fully unmarried and you have verified that from the seller, so you don't buy them and you end up with a paperweight. But obviously the first thing you're gonna have to start out with is that access port for the car. Now, for everything else on the list, this is not going to be in any specific order in which you should buy these parts. This is just the grand scheme of everything that you're going to need to be able to hit 350 wheel horsepower. So the first one that comes to mind when you are going to be doing this is going to be a 3-port electronic boost controller. You can get a manual boost controller if you want, but an electronic boost controller is definitely going to help you and your tuner be able to manage that boost interval, boost level, boost PSI, all the boost going through your car. So you are going to want to snag a boost controller. Now, I did find a Company 23 boost controller on Amazon for about $71.96, which is actually the cheapest one I could find from a reputable brand out there. So if you are looking for one, Company 23 is not a bad one to snag. Now, you're gonna want a downpipe for the car also. Now, on this list, you will see that I mention an external wastegate and an up pipe on this list. Now, this downpipe I'm going to tell you is catless because it is a good price, and since we are talking about 350 wheel horsepower, you're gonna have to be able to go external wastegate for that. Now, this downpipe that I found, it's going to be an NVIDIA catless downpipe. Now, you can get one of these NVIDIA catless downpipes for about $276. Pretty good price for a downpipe if you ask me. But if you are not planning on going external wastegate, you are going to want a catted one, and that price range can range between like $500 to $600 for a downpipe. Now, you don't need an intake, but you're going to want those cool turbo noises. The cheapest one I could find on Amazon from a reputable brand with a heat shield was Grimspeed's intake. It's not a bad intake to grab. You can get them in like wrinkle red, black, whatever colors you want. But you're gonna need an intake. That is not a bad one to grab if you are balling on a budget. I run the Cobb SF one with the box in my car, but it's all gonna depend on your preference of what you want out of your car. Now you're also going to be needing a fuel pump. So I found an AEM fuel pump. It's a pretty good one. It's also ethanol rated on Amazon for $104.99. Not too expensive and very easy to install. But with everything going on in the car, if you are shooting for higher horsepower, you are gonna want more sufficient fuel flow. Now, because you are trying to push up that fuel flow, get more fuel up into that engine, you're also gonna need some injectors. Now, I found some ID 1050s on Amazon for about $532. That's actually not too bad. It comes with a pigtail adapter, so you can just throw them in, plug them in, and be good to go. Now, if you are gonna be shooting for more power, you are gonna wanna scale that injector up to an ID 1300, or maybe an ID, I think they're 1650s or 1600s, to compensate for the amount of fuel that you're gonna need to be sending up into the engine, especially if you're gonna be running ethanol. Don't make the same mistakes like I have and be stuck with 1050s in the car. But you're gonna need injectors regardless. Now, you're also gonna be needing a different bypass valve on the car. The OEM one simply won't be able to handle the power or the PSI that you're gonna be shooting for. Now, I was able to find a Turbo Smart one on Amazon for about $276. Get yourself a bypass valve if you are shooting for that 350 wheel horsepower goal. Now, you are also going to be needing a turbo inlet. So this is a Cobb turbo inlet. However, I couldn't find this one on Amazon, but this one comes in at about $199. I was able to find a Perrin turbo inlet for about $210 on Amazon. Either way, it has one job of just smoothing the airflow going into the turbo from the intake. Highly suggest snagging one of these if you are shooting for that higher horsepower interval, but I'm gonna tell you now, this is probably the worst part that you're gonna end up installing on that car. If you are going to be doing that catless downpipe, you're gonna need an external wastegate setup. So first of all, I was able to find this exact Grimspeed up pipe, well, the 38mm version. This is the 44. Now you're gonna be able to snag this up pipe for about $290, but you're also gonna need the external wastegate to go with it because of course batteries are sold separately, right? So the external wastegate from Tile, specifically because I love Tile products, you can snag their 38mm wastegate for about $296. So completing that will let you be able to go catless without any issues. So to be able to achieve that higher horsepower, you are gonna need better cooling. Now that's gonna be both radiator and intercooler, but let's start with the intercooler. So you are gonna want a bigger intercooler, whether it be a top mount or a front mount. That's gonna be up to you to decide. I always suggest front mount intercoolers because you don't get the heat soak and all the stuff. There's a full video on top mount versus front mount intercoolers. If you haven't seen it, I'll link it up there somewhere. But you can get the ETS front mount intercooler for about just about $1,300. That comes with the piping, the core, all the couplers, all the V-bands, everything you're gonna need to be able to install it on the car. Highly suggest it. Now you're also gonna wanna keep that fluid just a little bit cooler and be more efficient in cooling it. Now you're gonna wanna be keeping the car more efficient in cooling as well. So with that being said, you are gonna wanna snag a radiator. I found one of my favorite brands on Amazon, the Koyo radiator, for about 276 bucks. Not a bad deal. It's about average price for those radiators. But like I said, you are gonna be able to wanna be more efficient in cooling the car, especially when you're gonna be getting high in that RPM range. You're taking out to the track, you're just beating on the car, whatever you're gonna be doing with it, you are gonna wanna keep it more cool. Now people ask me a lot, what catback do I suggest? What exhaust do I suggest them running? If you don't want something that's deafening like the STI, or you don't want something that's too quiet, the R400 is a really good middle ground option to go with these cars. If they don't make the R400 for your car, the Q300 is another quieter one if you don't wanna be waking up the neighbors at 5 a.m. when you're going to work. So you can get the NVIDIA R400 for around $957. That's actually not too bad for a full catback with 4 mufflers and 4 exhaust tips. So NVIDIA R400 is one of the ones that I recommend if you want something that's loud but not insanely quiet. Now there's only 3 more things on our list that you're gonna be needing to effectively be able to hit 350 wheel horsepower. Now it's not needed to make the horsepower, but I do highly suggest it. As always, it is going to be an air oil separator. Now there's a lot of options out on the market. You can get catch cans or radiators. I run both of them. I run AOS on the STI and catch cans on the BRZ. However, with that being said, you can snag the IAG one for about 390 bucks. Not a bad one. It's the one that I always go with. It is the Street Series, and no, you do not need a tune for just an air oil separator. Going into it, because we are changing out all of the exhaust components, you're also going to want a different header. Now, limiting myself to Amazon really narrowed down the search for an effective brand that was both cost effective and quality. But I was able to find one, and that was the Tomei Extreme. I don't know. I think it's Extreme with a P. Extreme. Supreme. Regardless, you can snag the Tomy X Supreme for about $700. But the last thing that you're going to need to be getting, because these cars have an issue with it, is a fuel pressure regulator. Now, because the factory fuel pressure regulators have a lot of issues, they like to stumble, the car doesn't like to get all the correct fuel flow that it needs, you are going to have to swap that out. Now, you can get a fully adjustable one, which I suggest you doing. One of the ones that I was able to come across was both Radium and Perrin. Personally, I would get the Radium over the Perrin because Radium products have been like really coming up on my list just because I love the quality of them and the design of their parts. Now, with all of these parts, you will be able to hit 350 wheel horsepower no problem, as long as your tuner is fully capable of tuning the car and is comfortable tuning it with all of these parts, which they should be, to be honest, because they're a tuner. It's their job. It's what they do, right? Now, the subtotal for everything that I was able to find comes out to about $6,950. Now, there are shortcuts you can take, there are other avenues you can go, but this is a pretty standard build path for anyone that's going to be new to WRXs or new to STIs. So with that being said, this is probably going to be the easiest route to go for a beginner or someone who's just wanting to follow a build that'll easily get them to the power interval of 350 wheel horsepower of what they're shooting for. Now, like I said, this is going to be a pretty standard path to building an STI or WRX to hit that 350 wheel horsepower range. Now, with that being said, I did want to give you guys some updates on the STI since we're about to dive into the actual build on this. So like I said, the tune is set for May 28th. Super excited, super pumped to go get the car tuned. I'm waiting on one part to show up for the BRZ because like I said, the BRZ exploded a radiator hose and there was white smoke everywhere, and it was the looks people give you when you have a car having issues on the side of the road is just not enjoyable at all. So as soon as I get those radiator hoses in and I can fix the BRZ to be able to drive that car while this one's down, we're gonna start digging into this one. So I'm assuming that it's going to be like Saturday that I can get the BRZ fixed, and then we're gonna start digging into the STI. The avenue we're gonna be going here is going to probably be exhaust work first, then go over to some of the fueling stuff, and then some of the other items that we have on the list to get knocked out. Now, I'm anticipating the car to make just under 400 wheel horsepower or around the 410 wheel range, because we are still gonna be on that stock turbo, but we are swapping over to ethanol and everything like that. So it's gonna be a good time. Should shoot fire. Who doesn't like fire? I love fire. I got a candle burning right there because I like fire. Just kidding. That candle's just there to keep it out the bugs. It's like a weird lavender candle. They sell them at the store. If you have a bug problem though, those candles work. But that's all I got for you guys in this video. I will see you guys on Saturday. I appreciate all the time you guys spend here on the channel with me. And if you enjoyed the video, you like the content, you know what to do. Go ahead, hit that little thumbs up and turn it blue just like the Subaru. And if you're not already subscribed to the channel, which you should be, because we have a plethora of parts down there to be installing on the STI, and you don't want to miss out on that stuff, go ahead and subscribe to the channel in that corner right there. And with that, I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace out, homies. Woo!